Magic the Gathering? In my Final Fantasy? The answer is more likely than you think. In this issue of the Carbuncle Chronicle. Hello, and welcome to the Carbuncle Chronicle, your podcast for everything awesome in Final Fantasy XIV. I'm Basil, and I'm playing, well, a Lalafell summoner named 4K Ridus K, but I really like playing Iridia deck.
I'm Anna, and I really am enjoying my Chocobo deck.
I'm Dylan, and I play an Elysian White Mage named Aldrich Greywind, and I have got a Chocobo deck and a White Mage deck that I really like right now.
Oh, I guess my other deck that I'll only ever play in Arena because buying all the cards would be insane would be my Oops All Sids deck. That's been a fun time.
My weapons deck has also been, because I'm a sicko. I have every class level to 100, and I wanted that in a deck form. So we made a weapons deck. That one does really well, doesn't do as good as my Chocobo deck, and then my Emmet deck and my Fire and Ice deck, they're touch and go sometimes. But I am also, as we will get into, I am a complete noob to Magic. I've been playing less than a month. I knew it existed, but that was a realm of nerdy I had never touched before.
I think that's fine.
Minus cleaning out Magic cards when we're cleaning out our house.
Yeah. I think that's fine because I last played like 15 or 20 years ago, and I come in and like there are words that I don't know anymore, or there are new words that I've never heard before.
It's true.
I know we'd go into a card shop and Basil was like, here's when I played last, and the guys would be like, oh.
I took some of my old Kamigawa and Mirrodin block cards from like 20 years ago into my card shop, and like, oh, I got like $200 because I had a couple rare foils that were, worth something.
Nice. I've told Basil I need to look into like what Yu-Gi-Oh cards are valuable, because I don't know what I have. I have an extensive Yu-Gi-Oh collection. I've never known what was. I just like them. So that's one of those things. I'm like, one day I'll look into that, but for now I'm good.
So normally we are ostensibly a Final Fantasy XIV podcast, but if you've been paying attention to the general worlds beyond Eorzea and Tyrol and Aetheris, and in the so-called real world of Earth, we've had the latest Magic the Gathering collectible trading card game. Its current expansion set is a crossover collaboration event with Final Fantasy. And so that got the three of us playing Magic, some of us again, some of us for the first time, and we'll be getting into that. But that's sort of what this whole episode is about. And I did want to start us off with asking what our previous experiences were with Magic the Gathering. So I'm going to ask Dylan first.
I played a little bit in high school, and I think that was right after launch. So if I'd kept those cards, I would have had some really early ones. I dropped out of playing. I think part of that was just like in the 90s, there was this like, is it evil? And I'm like, just to be safe, maybe I should. I got back in college, and I played with a couple friends. Like a couple friends of ours were wanting to start a game shop, and so we did a lot of tournaments. We did a lot of I bought a couple booster boxes. I really burned myself out on it because I don't like the hyper competitive deck building. And when you're playing standard, we'll talk about this later. When the first expansion or the earliest expansion block falls off, you've got to relearn everything almost. And I was just like, meh, I don't think I'll do that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. And like finding out that I really enjoy it, but also how do I do this in a way that won't burn me out?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. Anna, what was I don't know, but the audience may not know your first experience with Magic the Gathering.
Honestly, it probably was mostly when we were cleaning out your cards because I knew it existed. I don't remember where I first heard about it or what, but I knew it was a thing. It was like WoW. Like I knew what WoW was, but I never played it. I never had an interest to play it. No one around me played it, so I just never, it was just one of those things that it was on the periphery of my knowledge. But yeah, so I started, like I said, less than a month ago. You had been playing for a while now, and I was like, I mean, I'll be interested in the cards when they come out. I don't know if I'm gonna actually play. And then I was like, well, I kind of want to try, so that's how I got where I am.
Yeah, much like Dylan, I started in high school. It's funny how Dylan mentions, oh, but it might be the devil's game, because the person who got me into this was my godmother. One day after church, she was like, hey, on this day, I'm going to come pick you up after school and I'm going to take you someplace. I think you're going to be interested. And where she took me, her younger son, who was older than me, had started up a card/gaming shop. And they had just started carrying Magic the Gathering cards. And this was the time of Ice Age and Fallen Empires.
Yep.
Which are not the first expansions, but they are amongst the first expansions. That's how I got into it. I got into it really hard for the next 3 to 4 years, but it was a much easier time to get into it because there was a couple of expansions like in a year, and the expansions weren't huge every time. So it was a much more manageable thing where me and a buddy, we would go to our local game store, which had originally been a video game, used game shop that had sort of transitioned themselves into cards and tabletop and board games because Magic was making them money. And that's where I played a lot. And I also benefited that my best friend, Seth, he was a few years older than me and he had actual jobs and things and he could afford to buy lots and lots of cards. And so most of my collection that ended up just going back to Seth just because something happened to him and he needed cards again. And most of my cards were cast-offs that he didn't need. Because we played standard because Commander wasn't even a thing then.
Yeah.
So it was all 60 card decks. You could have a maximum of 4 cards in a deck. So for his commons and uncommons, once he went past 4, he would just give the extras to me. So that's how I got into it. And then eventually got the card store I always went to. It closed down. Seth moved away. Expansions were starting to come out 3 or 4 times a year. They were becoming bigger. It was becoming more and more money to invest just to be able to even keep up. This is around the time it feels like they were really starting to be like, okay, you can only use these amounts of these most recent expansions. And those are the only cards you can use if you want to quote unquote play modern. And I was like, I don't have the money for this, so I'm going to dip out.
Yeah. I definitely remember there was a different feel between, hey, I'm going to go to the game store and I'm going to look through their big box of cards and I'm not going to really care where they're from versus when you're playing, I think it was originally called Type 2, maybe Type 2 standard, whatever, where you're just looking at the newest cards. Competitive and casual are just night and day. And you really need to be aware that they are 2 different experiences if you're going to get into this.
You were mentioning not being able, you couldn't afford to get into it. This has really shocked me with how much people will spend on this. Myself included, but I know people that have spent so much on this expansion specifically. I'm just like, what do you do for a living?
I think it's their best selling expansion. So like this is where everyone, like, it's not just us. Everyone is having this experience of like, oh, time to check out Magic again.
Yeah.
And that's driving up prices.
But there is Magic, because it's a collectible card game. There are people, one, who want to have the cards to play with their friends. There's another group of people that want to have the cards to play competitively. And there's also a group of people who are just buying the cards to resell the cards.
Yes.
And Wizards of the Coast, they built Magic to be able to accommodate all these things so they can keep making money, because they need the people, wanting to be tournaments, and they also need people to be resellers because they buy a whole lot of cards, and they need to keep those people buying lots and lots of cards.
Yeah. I do think that's another distinction you need to learn is like, know what the difference between one of the fancy collector's sort of cards is, and know just what you actually need if you just want to play, and being very mindful, I guess would be the right word, of like, because I'll do it too. It's like, well, I could buy the regular version of this card, but if the fancy version is available, well, wouldn't that be cool to put in my deck? And like, at some point, like, the difference between those two is a lot of money when you really get into it.
Yeah.
But we are focusing on the Final Fantasy expansion because that's what we've really been playing. That is where Anna and I, and Dylan in this case, also got back into it for now. And for me personally, and I think Anna agrees, is also probably ends with it, at least for us buying physical cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, we are a Final Fantasy 14 podcast. We really like Final Fantasy 14 and a whole slew of the other Final Fantasies. Like, we are big Final Fantasy fans. We are the target audience for us to be getting back into Magic, and it worked.
Yeah. And I think, like, I played a pre-release tournament, and I have not played a tournament in 15 to 20 years, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit it felt really good to play again. But I think a lot of that was how well they designed the Final Fantasy series. We did a sealed booster. You got 6 boosters. You open them up. You use that and some lands to build a 40 card deck. The Final Fantasy, like, it's not like most Magic sets where there's some lore, there's kind of an aesthetic, and the question is, do you like it? Do you not? I think that's going to be the thing that stops me from getting into other stuff, because there's going to be sets that I'm just like, I don't care about this. But the lore obviously instantly scans because it's Final Fantasy, and it feels like classic Magic. That was the thing I noticed. I bought some cards when they did the crossover with D&D Forgotten Realms. And I mean, the difference here may be that I didn't play an actual pre-release event and have to build a deck kind of sight unseen. But the D&D set had a lot of new mechanics. It had these dungeon cards. It introduced the concept of classes. You had cards where you would roll a d20. Probably the right answer. You want to capture those mechanics. Final Fantasy felt like it's sticking as much to classic or existing Magic rules and keywords and stuff like that. And I feel like that's really a hook for players to pick up Magic. It's like I sat down, I opened the packs, and I was right back in a sealed tournament like I'd never left.
Yeah, they did a really good job of figuring out how Final Fantasy would work as Magic the Gathering cards. And I feel they did a great job in so many ways of capturing that flavor. For example, I really like how the way Dragoons work is that your Dragoon, during your turn, they have flying.
Yeah.
So that does a great job of emulating the whole jump ability where they're in the air for a bit and they come down. Well, they are in the air during your turn. So if you want to attack with them as a flyer, that means that your opponent has to have things that can defend against flying.
Those cards is they map a lot of Final Fantasy classes and species to existing Magic creature types, like, wizards, clerics, warlocks, things like that. Chocobos are birds, Makote are cats. And if you marry this up to other expansion blocks, it kind of feels like, and I've seen this on Arena playing other people, you can still create some synergies with this set. It isn't just kind of this one-off set that, like, when would you ever use this weird new mechanic? Like, it probably pairs up even better with other sets than just playing alone.
Yeah, I know that I think it's new-ish or possibly new to Magic, but what I really enjoy is how they figured out how to handle jobs.
Yes.
In Magic the Gathering for Final Fantasy, where you'll place like a red mage rapier or a summoner, grimoire, however you pronounce that. And it has, I forget the actual term, but it's like class select, I think.
Job select.
Or job select, where it auto creates a 1/1 hero token and attaches itself to that to the token.
Equipment was a big new thing in Mirrodin, which was around the time I really got out, or like the last block I played. And so that's like you play down an artifact, it's got an equip cost, you equip it. But the idea of like creating that token automatically, like that's a lot of utility. You don't have to wait to have the mana to attach it to something. And yeah, that just feels really good because then the token gets killed, you can treat it like a normal equipment and like there's some utility there.
You know, I've really enjoyed how, because there are some things that I've never seen really before until I got back into Magic. Things like enchantment creatures and sagas.
Yeah.
Where that's how all the summons work, where every time your next turn, you place a token on it, and how many tokens it has on it triggers what ability it has. And then by the time you trigger all its abilities, then it goes away, which feels very like how much casting a summon in Final Fantasy should feel like. Again, they just did a really good job of making all these cards work within the confines of Magic, but also feel like Final Fantasy.
Like the first time I played a summon like that and it disappeared, I went, wait, what? Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
They have cards like Rydia and Garnet, Princess of Alexandria from, I think, 9. I've never played 9. You do some neat things with summons. And then they've got some of the 16 cards where creatures will shift into summons and then shift back. So that was a really neat mechanic and a really good way to do it without creating a whole new card type for it.
Were there any cards that you've been particularly enjoying playing, Anna?
Honestly, one of the cards that has been like the most surprising that's been useful is the Machinist Arsenal.
I have not played with that.
It can get beefy, like right out of the gate. I think the first time I played it, it was like +7, or it was like 7/7, and I was like, what okay. So that one,
it gets, if memory serves, it gets a +2/+2 for every artifact you control.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun. And that, and the one that it made me mad the most, and then I was like, I'm gonna make a deck with it, is the Saz's Chocobo, because it's a landfall. Like that one, I've had quite a few matches where I'll play that the first hand and the person concedes. It's like, nope, I'm not dealing with you. And I completely understand it because I felt the same way.
I see that a lot. I put that in my Chocobo deck. I think Chocobos are kind of like, I think they're better metas, and that's going to be a hard deck type to actually build competitively just because there's so many better versions. But yeah, I built a decent like green, white, red Chocobo deck. Lots of commons and uncommons. I happened to pull a Traveling Chocobo Mythic in the pre-release that kind of ties it together. But yeah, there's a lot of good bird Chocobo themed cards in there.
But yeah, going back to the Machinist, I noticed that card when I was building my Oops All Sids deck in Arena, because it was much easier for me to have all the cards I wanted. Well, because I've been playing Arena for the past year, to one, refresh my brain on how Magic works, and two, to just generate in-game coins. So when the Final Fantasy expansion came out, I could just buy just an absurd amount of packs and just have all the cards I want.
He pulled like 200 packs in one
Yeah.
day.
240.
It was
I didn't have a lot of in-game currency, but I had built up a lot of those trade cards or the crafting cards. So I can literally go in and make any deck I want now for at least Final Fantasy.
And I noticed that and with SIDS, the way that SID works in this thing is because there's been 15 SIDs, there are 15 SID cards. So it's all the same card. It's SID something, machinist or artificer, because I think they're all technically human artificer. And it also says in the card, you can have as many copies of this card in your deck that you want. So even if you are playing standard, it doesn't matter because the card says you can have as many SIDs as you want. So I built a deck with all 15 SIDs, and I was realizing that what the other thing that the SID does is that it gives you +1/+1s to all your artifacts. Well, that tells me I want lots of artifact creatures, right? All the jobs are technically artifact creatures, kind of the way it works when you set them down. And so the machinist gets to do that, but also gets bonuses for having artifacts that you control on the field. So when I play down a machinist, out of nowhere, I suddenly have like a 15/15 just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Anna was building an equipment deck, and I'm like, oh no, you want this card in this deck. Trust me, machinist it probably isn't OP because there's ways to deal with it and many ways to deal with it if they have it in their deck. But if they don't, it's very powerful.
We joke, at least it's good in one game.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that is the right level to not go crazy with this sort of thing. If you try to be too competitive, or at least if I do, I know I'm gonna just end up frustrated. But if I build a deck that can fire once in a while, that's a very good feeling. Like, that's where I want to be. I built a green-white clerics deck around Aerith, Rosa, Minwu, white mage staves, and basically they add +1/+1 counters when they heal.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had people just I've had it really get going and people just concede just out of nowhere on the arena.
The most fun I have had is when I'll play my Summoner Grimoire and I'll make a little 1/1 Summoner, and then the next turn I'll attack with it. And then what Summoner does is that if you have you can play a creature when you attack, and if it's an enchantment creature, it will come in tapped and also attack it.
Yes.
Well, all the summons are enchantment creatures. So the idea is that you are summoning your summons and they're attacking with you when you attack with your summoner. And so on turn 4 or 5, I can get out of summoner attacking, and out then comes Bahamut, a 9 cost, 9/9 flying, and when it first comes out, it destroys any non-land permanent. The second turn, it destroys a non-land permanent. Then you draw 2 cards, and then it does Mega Flare, and your opponent takes damage equal to the amount of permanents you control. And I've had a few times where I will launch a Bahamut, and the person will be like, I'm done. Never mind. Yeah. Because a lot of decks are built around, for me, the same way with Bahamut, where usually it's like a couple of creatures are sort of what you're building them up around, and those are what your heavy hitters are. And if suddenly you're like, aha, I got my heavy hitter, well, I go, well, Bahamut, now it's gone. Oh, by the way, this 9/9 flying is attacking you, and you were probably not prepared for that.
Yeah. And I think there are various ways you could probably, because that triggers when the summoner attacks, so there's probably various restoration magic and stuff like that where you can protect the summoner from actually dying in the attack, so you can do it again next turn.
Or if the summoner dies, that's fine. I then just equip, I pay the 3 mana or whatever, make the Bahamut summon another Bahamut. Because they're not legendary, they're just enchantment creatures. So I've actually had 2 Bahamuts on the field at the same time, and that was also just as wild.
That is good.
So I noticed we have our next thing is the product / gameplay formats in our little outline that Dylan helped cobble for us together. And I know the first one you have listed is Commander. Well, Anna and I have yet to actually play Commander. So Dylan, please tell us, what is Commander?
I have played exactly twice. I went to the casual Commander night last week at the local game store. The idea, and I brought one I'd cobbled together from like some Kamigawa era spirits or something. The idea is you've got 100 unique cards. Everything but basic lands have to be unique. One of them is your commander. The colors in the deck have to match the colors on the commander. When I played, the 2 games I played, it's typically, I think, played with 4 players. So strategy is different. It's a little swingier than those 60 card decks that you can have 4 of a card in, and you can like really fine tune to a particular strategy. I think there are strategies, but they're very different. It feels like it lends itself more to casual play. That said, most of my experience, like I bought the commander decks with Final Fantasy. What did you guys think of those?
We got Ishtola and Terra. I like them. I don't, like I said, I want to learn how to play it. Like, I know Basil and I are going to try and sit down with the 2 we got, see what we can figure out. But
yeah.
But I going through the cards was fun.
Yeah, I think the tricky part is I always have some regret. I bought one of the D&D ones. I always have regret immediately because it's like, one, when am I going to play this? I've never played this before. They're not always like, they've got some rethemes of other cards. So they're not just like jump starting your Final Fantasy collection.
Right.
And they're not necessarily going to be legal and standard or whatever.
I will say this. The only reason I have no regrets, I got an Emmett card guaranteed in the Ishtola deck, so I was happy with it.
Yeah.
And that was my whole thinking going into this is I like the art. I like these characters. If you come into my house, you see I collect things. We have a whole room dedicated to 14. So I was like, it's gonna fit. It fits with my aesthetic.
And I think that works. Like I'm still in that old school, like everything has to go through standard. If it's not for standard, what's the use of it? And I'm kind of having to like back off of that. But yeah, like I think it's probably a good format. I built a couple more commander decks out of some of my old cards. I think that's, what I'd really like to do is keep some decks around that I can just play whenever. And I think commander's a really good format for that, especially since it's up to 4 players.
Yeah, for me, and I guess we should also explain what standard is
yes.
60 card decks, and you have a limited set of cards that you can use that are usually, I think it's technically sets and expansions that have been produced within the past 2 years of the date you're playing on.
Yeah, I wanted to say like, oh, it's the last 2 expansion blocks, and I'm like, no, that's 20-year-old information. That may have changed.
Yeah, I think it's all the expansions within the past 2 years are technically allowed. And then whenever the next expansion hits, then a previous expansion drops off.
Yes.
I think that is how that works. And I know for me, I'm with you, Dylan, where I'm used to being standard is what you play. What do you mean you're not playing standard? But now this whole commander format exists, and it sort of is designed around more casual play, although I have certainly seen like tournaments and things that are still built around Commander because I think it is now the most popular version of Magic played.
Yeah, I think if you've got a lot of cards, it's more accessible. If you're just starting out, Standard is probably going to be easier to build a deck for, just because of the unique requirement.
Well, the unique requirement, I actually kind of wonder if it makes Commander actually overall easier to plan for, because you can't stack your deck with like a bunch of rares. I mean, I guess you can, but you don't need you can't have 4 traveling chocobos.
Yes, you can have one. You can have a bunch of different mythics and rares, and that can be the problem. Although there is a format I've not actually played, but one of the local game stores we go to down in Loudon sometimes has Pauper Commander. And the way Pauper works is your commander can be an uncommon, and all your cards have to be commons. So it kind of gets past that. And when I went to the casual commander night, I brought a deck that had a lot of commons and uncommons in it. You know, it had its share of rares, but was not built entirely on those. And you can get some really, like, I feel like the people who were playing more rares had much more powerful decks. So it probably depends, like anything else. If you care about standard, the tricky thing between Commander and the tricky thing with Final Fantasy is there are actually a decent number of Final Fantasy cards that are not going to be legal for standard. You can check gatherer.wizards.com that has a list of all the different cards on it, and it'll show you what the legality of any card is. But like the Final Fantasy Through the Ages cards, like those full card art cards that aren't alternate versions of other cards, I don't think those are legal in standard. And the Commander cards are not legal in standard either.
Right. Although, admittedly, if I'm playing standard right now, what I play standard is in Arena.
Yes. And so I think that's like, if you like what you're doing in Arena, look into standard. Also, if you're just playing casually, you can play the 60 card format and not have to worry about the recent expansion rules and ban lists. You can just do standard with anything if you aren't playing tournaments or specific events.
It's true. Like, my current goal is I want to build a commander deck just so I can go, if I go somewhere and I can go play casual commander, I can then just play casual commander, because chances are, if I just go to a local gaming store to play Magic, what are they going to be playing there? It's probably highly likely they're going to be playing commander. They're not going to be playing standard. And that's fine, because again, because they don't, for whatever reason, they don't put commander as a format in Arena, and Arena is Magic the Gathering's cell phone / PC version of Magic that you can play, and it has its own cards and things. Well, and that it's the same cards, but you buy cards in Arena that are just your cards that you could use in Arena. They don't share the same space as your physical cards.
I would actually add one thing. You said you think most people play Commander. I would just say check your local game stores. I think Wizards maintains a list of events at locator.wizards.com. Like, the game store I go to mainly does Commander. I don't even think I saw a standard on their schedule. There's some other game stores in Knoxville that do standard, and it's like, whatever you're looking for, if you're in an area with a lot of game stores, you might have some options, and you can kind of weigh those.
Yeah, just wherever I've looked, whatever store I go to, I always see lots of Commander. I don't see a lot of standard. And so for me, it's a case of, cool, I can play standard in Arena. That's fine. But if I somehow get out and get to play Magic with real cards in the wild, it really feels like it's probably going to be Commander. So I'd like to have a Commander deck to play with, in addition to the 2 Commander decks we already own, because we bought the actual ones designed by Wizards of the Coast. I'm like, well, I'm sure they play just fine.
Oh yeah, they probably actually play better than one I put together myself. Like, bringing my little first time, my first Commander deck to the casual Commander night, I was like, I should have just brought a pre-constructed. I think that would have been totally fine, because I'm struggling.
It's all right, Dylan. I'm sure as long as you had a good time, that's what's important.
Oh yeah, no, I had a good time, but I was like, I could have gotten a better idea of what this game is like if I used a pre-con.
I will say, spoiler, when you come for Comic-Con High, we do want to play with you, because we're too chicken to go play with any other we don't know.
Man, I will bring not only my Commander decks, but my 60 card decks, because all the card decks that I had back when I was playing in Mirrodin block, I've still got put together.
That sounds good.
Nice. Yeah.
Yes, I am down for this.
So we gotta get our decks together, Basil.
Yeah, all my original cards are gone, because again, my best friend at the time, Seth, growing up, most of them from him. And a few years ago, maybe many years ago, time is weird. Someone broke into his car and stole all his cards. And he had mentioned he wasn't back into Magic anymore. And I'm like, well, what happened? You were so into it. And he was like, well, all my cards got stolen and I don't want to rebuild anything. And I paused and went, okay. And I went to go and got my card collection, went, here, go play. And he was like, what? And I'm like, you bought most of these cards to begin with, and you still have people you would play with. At the time, I did not. And so I felt he would make use of it more than I would. And I was also correct.
I can also bring, and you can determine whether this is a mark of pride or shame. I have built out my Chocobo deck and my Cleric deck in real life, so you can also play a Final Fantasy deck if you don't have a 60 card Final Fantasy deck.
We also want to play the freaking starter deck that you can buy, because it's a Cloud deck and a Sephiroth deck, and they're sort of designed to play against each other. And we kind of want to play those as well, just to get us a feel for how one actually plays like paper Magic, because all the actual Magic we've been playing has all been done within Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Basil, like, especially with my Chocobo deck, like, and I'm watching one right now, all of the, like, when the cards pop out, like, all the effects happening, I'm like, how do you keep track of this?
I feel like anecdotally, Magic feels like a game for programmer brain and can teach you how to do programmer brain, because it's very much like, okay, this happens and this happens and this happens, and you're doing everything step by step. There's rules about if you play things in response to each other. I think if the rules haven't changed, they resolve in reverse order.
Okay.
I might have to look into that. I don't know if that's still the case, or if I don't know if the stack is still a thing, but the stack was a thing when I was playing.
My answer for that, Anna, was also very slowly.
Right. Well, I'm gonna have a notebook. I'm gonna keep writing everything, track everything in there, and yeah. Like I do. I hopefully this week we can that and play that, because I want to get into those.
Getting a set of dice, and like I've got some like glass beads. Counters are really useful, and you can also, if you really want to get fancy, they've got tokens for certain things.
I know. I was like, I finally can use all my dice because I don't have a good use for them right now.
Right.
So if for some reason all us talking about this has gotten you interested, like, man, maybe I should play Magic, because it is very fun. When you're actively playing Magic, it can be very, very fun. How do you do that? I'm going to say straight up, if you have any interest in trying out Magic at all, download Arena.
Yes.
It's free. And it's free to start, in that they'll give you a bunch of basic cards and even some introductory decks that you can just play around with. And as you play through the tutorials and things, it'll teach you the game, and also give you ideas on how cards play with each other. And then I believe there's also a thing called Jump In, that you can spend some tokens or whatever, and you get to build a starter deck based off just different concepts.
Maybe like I was doing the Jump In with the Final Fantasy one, and they only give you, to my knowledge, they only give you options to like decks to use. You can't edit them. So I'm not sure if I'm incorrect on that, because some of these I'm just like, I'm not good at this one. Like, I don't like it. Like, and then when I battle other people, I feel like they can't be using a pre-built deck. Like, they're using things that I've used in my personal built decks. So I'm like, I don't know how it works.
You can clone an existing deck. So I imagine these are also things that you can tweak, that if you like the strategy, you can kind of pull pieces out and in.
Yeah, they have where you can take that deck. Yeah, but I don't think there's a way to edit the deck you're using in this Jump In things. But if someone knows how, then let me know, because I want to be able to fix some of these.
I've not actually used Jump In, so that may be...
Well, and again, I think the idea is Jump In is just to give you an idea of what to do yourself afterwards. I don't think you can edit the decks in Jump In. I think what it is the idea is that you can choose 2 different deck types, and then they'll put those 2 different deck types into one deck, and you need to play with that deck. And then I think if you build that deck, you can then, quote unquote, like Dylan said, clone it, and then edit the clone.
Okay.
Into play in regular standard or whatever.
Last time I played Magic Arena, I think you could actually just get starter decks.
Yeah, you can.
That's what I was assuming this was, and I think I misunderstood.
They are, yeah, they're kind of, they are starter decks on their own, but they're all Final Fantasy starter decks. But that's what I'm saying, like, when I'm playing with them, I don't know, I feel like I'm playing against people that have their own decks. I don't think it's people that are using the same decks I'm using.
Oh, yeah, it's not other people who are using Jump In. I see what you're saying. I thought this was just a way to get starter decks.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not sure if I'm correct or not.
I guess my point though there's lots of ways that you can go within Arena to learn how to play Magic, to get some cards to play around with, so that if you decide that it is something that you like and enjoy and you want to get into physical cards, that gives you an avenue to decide, do I like Magic the Gathering or not?
Yeah, and in fact, I built up a bunch of those crafting cards, and literally, I started out trying to build some decks off of the cards I'd bought through pre-release and other packs. And I kind of turned around and now I'm refining concepts in Arena. And then when I'm happy with those, I can plug those into my wish list of cards I want to buy.
Now, if you've decided that, oh man, I'm buying some cards, let's go to the local game store. They did do a pretty good job of creating lots of different entry points for Magic the Gathering for Final Fantasy. Again, there is a $20 starter set that is, I think that's the Cloud versus Sephiroth decks.
Okay.
Where they are a Cloud deck and a Sephiroth deck, and I think they're only 40 card decks, but they're designed to face each other. They are tuned to, they have their own combos, and they're designed with you playing against the other one. So if, say, you and a friend want to play some Magic together, that's a great, mostly inexpensive way to literally just start going. They also had a couple different starter sets that would be like, here's some lands, here's some boosters, here's some tokens, and a dice and a die. And it was also a cool box to put it all in. I think that's a great starter way of doing it.
That's the box that we ended up pulling. We got a Vivi out of that one.
Yeah.
I think there was another card that was pretty expensive, so we were like, oh, okay. It was good. It was a good buy. Yeah.
Again, it's just, they're just boosters. You could technically go out and buy just a bunch of boosters, which we've done. But I think the starter set, the 2 decks, is a great way to start playing. Again, they also have those commander decks. Just don't buy the collector's commander's deck. Just go buy the commander deck.
Oh crap! Yeah, those we play Thursday nights at the game shop in Loudon, Tennessee, and I'm about the time you guys were all talking about reserving those, I'm I should reserve those. I'd like to have those, and I know that these things are going fast. And I come in and I buy it. Oh, I didn't realize how much these were going to be. Oh no, this feels like a lot, and I cannot imagine buying the collector decks are $250 or something, aren't they?
Yeah, they're ridiculous amounts.
Yeah. I'm actually going to make a pitch. If you want to get in, find a local game store. Buying boosters is good. I buy boosters occasionally. I've had pulls that feel like duds. You don't want that to be the main source of your buying, because you're always going to have that I spent $9 on a pack and it feels like a dud. But a lot of game shops are going to have commons, uncommons, reasonably priced. They may even have, they'll probably have the higher uncommons and rares if you really care to do that. My local game shop, the one I play at most of the time here in Knoxville, I think sells basic lands, just random basic lands for 5 cents. You can make a pretty decent 60 card deck just with that. And I really would suggest, if you're at all interested in this, definitely go support a local game shop. Get involved in some events. Even if you're just playing an Arena, you might even get benefits from that. I used my Magic Companion app at the pre-release. I got 6 packs in Arena as a promo for that. But, plugging into a local game store is pretty good. If there's other sorts of gaming you love, there's probably a regular event for it. They probably have a community like Discord where you can kind of find other folks to play with. the game store I go to regularly has weekly board gaming and a dedicated D&D night. Like we were talking about, there's lots of different Magic formats, and some stores will specialize in some more than others. And it's probably going to be too late for this by the time we get this out and people are listening to it. But I think maybe July 21st, there's a Chocobo racing event where you can earn points to get like a pin and a poster for playing drafts. And then if you can't find what you want there's tcgplayer.com. Even in the Final Fantasy set, there's some rares that are as cheap as commons. So you can, or uncommons. So you might actually luck out on a build for, again, one of these casual decks. The biggest thing that helped me was I plugged my collection into moxfield.com. There's a lot of these sites that help with collection management and deck building. That's a really good way to search for cards, see what you need. Like I build a wish list of cards I want to build, a deck I'm looking at. I've had Magic Arena up and Moxfield and up and on different monitors and just typed in what I needed like that. So there's a lot of options other than just buying more packs, because I know that was one of the things that really burned me out on Magic was you buy all these packs and one, they cost a lot of money, and two, you've got a bunch of cards that you're never going to use.
Yeah. I was going to say, going back to when we were pre-buying all this, we didn't pre-order like super early. We were very late to that, and honestly, like Basil had put his name in at one of our stores, and they were like, well, you're on a list, but nah, not a high chance of you getting anything. We're like, okay, we were just like, okay, fine. So then one evening we were sitting here, and I saw a friend had posted on Facebook that a local card store, but it's about 20-30 minutes away from us. But they were like, yeah, they've got pre-orders going for this. They say they have a lot, and we're like, okay. So we called them. We're like, hey, here's what we're looking for. Is it worth it for us to drive from where we are to you? And they're like, oh yeah, we've got plenty. Come on and pre-order. And we're like, all right. So we got in the car, drove to the game store. It's super small. They are just starting out. But yeah, they had everything for pre-order. So we got the 2 commander decks we wanted, and we were like, all right, let's go. So yeah, so we were very lucky in that. And I ended up pre-ordering the starter decks and the starter bundle from Target actually the same day because they happened to have them up. So we just got really lucky with that timing. And we ended up going to 4 or 5 different card stores around the area just so we could help support them. And we bought packs or things at different stores, and it was fun. It's fun getting to see what all we have in town that we didn't know we had.
And the thing is with these local shops, if you play in a couple of them, like I said, I'm playing one here in Knoxville. We're playing in another one just because it's closer to some friends, and it's where we can meet up to do role-playing games and board games. And they all have a different vibe. They all have kind of a different mix of events. If you're into that sort of gaming, it's definitely worth checking out. And this may be a good opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I definitely think looking into a local game store is a great... Well, that's the only real way to do this if you're not playing Arena. Because also, if you don't have any people who you're playing with, you also need that because Magic is not a solo experience. It is a competitive experience. You have to have people to play against.
Yeah.
If you're doing Standard, it's 1v1. Commander can be up to 4v4 or possibly even more. I think Commander does just whatever Commander wants to do. As long as you have the deck, the amount of people doesn't matter as much as just traditionally for V4. But you need people to play with. And Anne and I are lucky. We're married. We're both interested in this. We can play against each other whenever we find time.
Now, sometimes one of us may be better than the other, and the other one gets kind of annoyed at them and goes to bed. I cannot say I've done that.
I'll be honest, when I was playing in college, I kind of had that problem because I was like, I just want to play. And I had friends who were like, we're going to deck build and we're going to read what the latest meta is. And it's just like, yeah, I'm going to get crushed every time.
Oh, yeah. I have resigned to the fact that I will most likely lose every game. If I win, great. Most likely going to lose every game, but that's fine.
But yeah, you need these places to exist because you need to buy the cards and you need people to play against or play with, however you want to think about it. So definitely go find a spot, a place that vibes with you. Also, check around because the way that companies have to buy the cards, they're buying it through distributors. And so there's always going to usually be some form of markup somewhere.
Yeah, like we got really lucky in the beginning. Like we got a booster box for pretty much standard price. We got packs for I think we found one place we were only paying $6 for a pack. And I think that was the cheapest I've seen. We got really lucky. But then as the release happened, the secret lair dropped. I tried for 3 hours to get something, failed miserably, ended up buying the 2 cards I wanted off eBay. For pretty much what I was going to pay for a pack of the regular anyway, and I got a foil out of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm good. I got what I wanted. Went to our store that was pretty decently priced. They had the whole pack I wanted before I went to eBay, and they had it for eBay prices. It was like triple the amount that they went for on release. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. I thought that was where it was going to end. Then, 2 days ago, we wanted to try to get the gift bundle that released on Friday. And nowhere in town had them. Understandable. Should have pre-ordered it when we saw it. But, live and learn. We did go to one of our local stores. They had, I think, 4 or 5 of them. I was like, awesome. We're in luck. We can get one. Go up, say, how much are you selling this for? Over double the price. And I was like, that is bullshit. The guy looked very scared when I said this. And I left. Basil was like, thank you for being honest. Okay, we're leaving. And I asked Basil later, I said, did I overreact? He went, no. He said, I think the guy was just like a little surprised that you knew what it was supposed to be priced. But, and I understand. If buying from, wholesaler, you're paying distributors for the item and then you need to make a profit. I understand that, but that was a little overkill.
Yeah. I think the problem is, like, you have that collector element, like we were talking about early in the episode, very built into the system. And so you can go into your local game store and you can buy board games at price, you can buy role-playing books at price, you can buy miniatures at price, but Magic is always going to have that collector element built in where market prices come into play. I think sites like TCG Player, they maintain market rates. That's always like, that makes it really easy to do. Like back in the day, you'd have to wait for a price guide to come out to update things like that.
That is definitely a lesson I have learned with this, is how Magic works when it comes to collecting. And I'm sure a lot of people had the same mentality I did with the gift bundle, was collector boosters are stupid expensive. I don't want to pay that for one pack of cards. And the fact that this box came with a really pretty box, the dice token came with, I think, 9 regular boosters and then the one collector. I was like, the $90 is a good price and a good incentive for me to get one collector, because I just wanted to open one collector booster without paying almost the same price for one. And I'm sure a lot of people thought the same way. And I understand that. I'm still annoyed by it, but I understand it.
Well, I think the way I look at it is if local game stores didn't raise their prices, then you'd probably still have people like, oh, I can just buy one and scalp it online. Like,
oh my gosh, that was another discussion. Yeah, the scalping of nowadays, like that is I tried to buy Yu-Gi-Oh! Adidas one, and I ended up getting them later on eBay when the price finally went back down to normal because no one was buying it. But like, I'm like, really? Why do you have like waste this time to do this? Like, let people buy things that they want. Don't buy it to sell it at an exorbitant price later, because that's how people get scared. Like, at Christmas, I understand, people do that, and I'm just like, why? Why be decent human beings for one?
Well, the other thing is, like, right now everything's real popular, so
give it time and they'll probably go down.
Yeah, the stuff that's really expensive will kind of cool off a bit, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Especially if I don't know if they're going to reprint anything, but if they do anything like that, you're probably going to have that affect markets. But like I said, I've had to kind of like, I've probably spent way too much on it, but it's also noticing that feeling of like the collector thing really appeals to that fear of missing out. And it's like, okay, but what do you want to get into Magic for? Do you need it? And like, I've had to kind of scale that back in some areas. Like, no, I don't need the full art lands. I don't need a second traveling chocobo for my deck. It's fine.
Like that. Yeah, like that's what we were saying earlier. Like, did I go on eBay and buy the 3 different Emmett cards they had because I am an Emmett simp? Yes. Were they that expensive? Not really.
I think that's a good way to do it. Like, I would rather do that than buy endless packs hoping to pull what I want.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to spend way more, especially market prices being what they are.
Yeah, and I know I say go to eBay. That's not the first place you should go. I was searching online, found a completely random card shop here in Madison. Basil knew about it, but it was more focused on Pokemon when he knew about it. And it's called Poke Collect. But when I Googled them, the first search thing I saw was a full art of the A Realm Reborn. And I went, I want that because I love 14. And that is a really pretty card. It was like $1.75. And I was like, let's go get it. So we went.
That is
and we
very
found
reasonable.
Basil. Yeah, we found Basil a couple of Titan summons for his deck. We found, I think we ended up buying 4 individual cards. And while we were there, they had booster packs, so we bought a couple of booster packs. They were a little more expensive than we've been paying for them, but we're like, we want to support the local store. And they even said, we're trying to get into, like, the Magic scene. We're trying to, expand from just Pokemon. And I thought that was great. And they were really nice. And so, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. It's been such a wild month learning all of this.
Well, I think the real trick, especially if someone's just getting into it or is curious about collecting some of the Final Fantasy cards, even just to have cards, the trick is that the collector's ones, they're all foils, and you have the much higher chances of getting higher end or more rarer cards in these packs. But they're also like 5 times the price, it feels like sometimes, than buying a booster. Like a regular booster you're going to find it between $6 and $9, and a booster is what, between like
45 to 80, 90.
Yeah, for the same like 10, 12 cards.
Yeah,
you have a higher chance of getting nicer ones out of the collectors.
And I know the Golden Chocobo is the one that everybody's looking for. Like that, there's 77 of them, and not all of them have been found. I know that's what everyone's going for. And I told Basil, I said, if we pulled one, I'd be like, holy shit. And I would tell everybody. But would I sell it? Hell no. Because
we also wouldn't tell everybody. I don't want people trying to rob our house.
I mean, yes. No, we don't want people trying. But if people came over and be like, hey, look, get to show them this. Like, would I sell it? No. Because I'd probably, I know Basil would be like, it would not go in a deck. It would not leave the house. But it's a cool thing. But I know that's what people, I know what was it. Number 1 and 69 were the 2 that people were going nuts over. And like, honestly, the things I'm really excited to collect and I know are not that expensive is the art cards.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of them. We have 2 that are signed. I was ecstatic to pull a signed Hades art because I'm me. We actually have some to give you, Dylan, that we have duplicates of if you would like them. Like, they're fun.
I have some. I'm not super interested in them, so I will bring mine and see if you want any of them.
Okay.
I did get one of like the foil stamped Sephiroths.
Nice.
Which I don't care that much about 7, so I'm like, that's probably trading fodder or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I've also done that. Like I pulled one of the Amano Kefka arts in the pre-release, and it's like I think it's come down like half what market price was on it since then. I do not think there's a deck I want to build around him, but it is super cool, and I do not want to trade it or sell it.
Pretty sought after, but we're not. But Basil loves 6. We bought the Terra Commander card deck. We're not gonna get rid of that one. But it's cool to be like, hey, look what we got.
But we also, I am a person who likes to play with his toys.
Yes.
That there's a reason why, even though 99% of my Magic playing nowadays is just within Arena, I still want to build a physical deck on the off chance I have the chance to play a physical deck.
The call is so strong. The itch, like I said, I sat down at the pre-release and I got the itch again. I'm gonna do this, aren't I?
Yeah, we were at a pre-release. We could have done it, but we were both chicken and did not want to sign up.
We were just going to a local game store just to see what they had.
Yeah.
And honestly, I kind of regret not signing up when we did.
We didn't realize we were walking into...
Yeah, we walked in, they had vending machines of cards, and one of them had Ishtola on it, and we're just like, what if we just walked in? I told Basil we need to take you there. Although they're the ones that made me mad with the doubling of the price. But they had a board game section, and they had a whole Magic section. We thought you might be interested.
This isn't the one we went to last time, is it?
No, I don't think y'all been there. It's out in Madison.
Okay.
When we walked in, it was cool. And they were playing 14 music. The Twinning started playing, and we were like, why have we not come here before? But yeah, it was fun. We got in line, and I was like, and I asked the guys in front of me, and I was like, so what's the line actually for? And they're like, this is for the pre-release event. We're like, cool. We just want to see what they had. They're like, oh, okay. So then we were not a threat at that point.
Magic pulls in so many people. Those events are so big. I'm always I go to game stores for board gaming and role-playing games, and man, I know that the Magic players are subsidizing me, right?
Yeah.
But they're also, because they'll also pay the double plus more for these things. Those boxes are probably now gone because they found people to buy them. And that is a different culture than what I am walking in with. I just want to have some cool cards, be like, oh, those are neat. Maybe play some games with some folks, but ultimately have a casual time. I'm not a hardcore tournament player. Yeah. I've never been a super competitive guy, and I am definitely not someone who wants to resell.
Right.
So the people, and like I told Anna, I think that gift set would be really cool, and we probably had a much easier time buying it if it didn't have the collector's booster in it.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's that collector's booster that's throwing everything out of whack. That's
the pull on the slot machine, right?
Yeah. And honestly, the collector booster, while it is a factor, honestly, I was the sparkly blue dice is cool. The 16 box art was really cool. That was another reason. And I was like, oh, we get some boosters with it. Cool. That was our reasons to buy it. The collector's booster was also it was a factor. It was not the factor for us, which is, I think, what was the downfall for us being able to get it. Because the collector booster is the reason other people were buying it.
Yeah. And also, you said that, we're not used to this world, but I also think that this is probably a weird time if you are in the Magic world, because a lot of people are dipping their toe in right now, right? And so, you go to your normal event and there's probably way more people now, buying the stuff that you usually buy, and it's probably very weird to even be in that world.
And also more expensive, because I know that the Final Fantasy stuff is more expensive just on the whole that a traditional Magic booster is. You could go spend $80 and get a booster box of a normal, Magic the Gathering expansion, whereas it was $180 for Final Fantasy, because the Final Fantasy ones are just more expensive than Magic. Magic usually is around $6 a pack, whereas the Final Fantasy ones are between $6 and $9. a pack, just depending where you go. And so that is another factor just on top of everything else.
Yeah.
That said, at the end of the day, this has been a really cool set. This has been a really cool set. I've got a lot of really cool cards. I'm enjoying playing with Final Fantasy stuff in a context I don't normally do. And so as far as that goes, this set's been a real win, and I've really enjoyed my time. And for me, it's like, much like Dylan, it's a nostalgic throwback for me. Like, oh man, I remember when I was young and dumb and played Magic a lot. Now I can be old and dumb and play
Magic a lot. Yeah.
And I got to introduce my wife into a new card game, and she didn't hate it. That's another win. The other place, we went to the Poke Collect place, we thought was wild, was that they actually had boxes for the Final Fantasy trading card game. Because there is a Final Fantasy trading card game that I'm sure there are people out there who are playing that and are like, why are everyone being fans of Final Fantasy now? Where were they when I was playing this card game that no one's touching because it's not Magic? And for me, it's like, well, it's nostalgia.
Yep. I already knew how to play. Didn't have to look. Maybe I had to look up like one or two things in the pre-release, and that was it.
And again, I really cannot overstate how nice Magic the Gathering Arena is. Like, It is a very well designed app that you can obtain cards and play cards. And it feels like Wizards was able to learn the right lessons from Hearthstone and was able to interpret Magic in a mobile app / program on Steam to play Magic digitally in a good way. Because that is how I'm probably going to be predominantly still playing Magic for the foreseeable future, just because I can just hop on my phone or hop on my computer and load it up and play some games whenever I want, because there's enough people playing it that I can play with whenever I want and get the feeling of playing Magic out and have a good time.
Yeah, having done both, I really feel like there is something to playing games in public with other people that, like, you just can't get that experience. Like, you can't streamline that away. And like Magic Arena streamlines a lot of things, but playing with someone else is in some ways more complicated, but it's also like a really good feeling when you get to do it.
Oh, no, you're right, Dylan. You're right. But when I play Arena, I can be at home. It can be at 10 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock in the morning. It's there when I'm ready to play and just get the feeling of playing Magic out. There is something, though, to going to an event and going to like a casual night and playing and interacting with other people. There is something cool about that. It's not like a dissimilar feeling that when we get to do Final Fantasy 14 panels at conventions or going to the photo shoots and just hanging out with other 14 fans and exchanging stickers and just talking to each other or badge ribbons and just hanging out and being like, yep, we like this game. It's pretty cool. Yep, this game's pretty cool. Like the game. There is that social in-personness that is special that you don't get through something digitally. You're not wrong. It's just I'm an old man who likes to play when I can play.
Yes. Yeah, scheduling is always the thing at our age.
Hell, we had issues just scheduling this recording.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
And speaking of, we've been talking for like almost an hour and a half, and we'll see how it all boils out in the edit. But are there any final thoughts about Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy?
No, I think I wrote notes, so I didn't forget anything, and I don't think I forgot it.
Look at Etsy sometimes. You will find that Final Fantasy fans, Magic fans, with 3D printers have made some really cool deck boxes too. There's a Tombstone, there's the Meteor, I've seen a Blitzball. Like, check out that. It's pretty fun to look into to see what people have done with this.
Yeah. I guess my final thought is it's a good set. I'm not a big a fan of some of the pricing with the set. especially aftermarket pricing, but that's part of a tradable, collectible card game that is popular. You're gonna get people are in it for that, and prices will be affected accordingly.
Yep.
But thematically, it's a good set. The art is amazing. So I guess if I were to leave a call of action, go check out Blue Sky. A lot of the artists who did the art for these things are there. They've been posting their art, mentioning, hints and little Easter eggs and going like, oh yeah, this actually is this is my Warrior of Light. I was able to throw in here, or I got to draw Chryle. It was super cool, but I also have Grahatia who can't, get up to where his staff is. Isn't that cool? But I also think like the book that Cryle's reading is technically has like their Warrior of Light's character name and server on it as the cover title of the book. There's just there's a lot of love in this set, a lot of love, and it does shine through. All right, folks. Speaking of a lot of love, this episode's been a production of a lot of love. Us for you for Final Fantasy and just a little bit for Magic. This has been the Carbuncle Chronicle, your podcast for everything awesome in Final Fantasy 14. This episode's edited by me today, Basil. The theme is based off the original composition by DJ Inabito, but was remixed, reconfigured, rearranged by Anna. You can find our stuff at carbunclechronicle.com. It leads to the awesomecast.com because we are a part of the Awesomecast family of podcasts, and you can find all our stuff there. Also at awesomecast.com. You can find the Patreon for both shows at patreon.com/awesomecast. Also on the website, you can find links to our Discord for the Awesomecast, where we talk about Magic in there. We've got video games channels. We got tabletop channels. We got places. We've got YouTube channels for both the Awesomecast and Carbuncle Chronicle. You can also leave podcast reviews on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Please give us 5 stars and maybe say something nice or something mean, whatever. As long as you give us those 5 stars, that's what I care about. You can find the Carbuncle Chronicle on various social media platforms. Predominantly, you can find us on Blue Sky, carbunclechronicle.com, or on other places like Instagram, what have you. You can search for CarbyCast. I've got social media stuff. You can find all my social media things at its Basil time. Anna, where can they find you online?
Most likely it is at Angel Darkfire. The middle A is...
And Dylan, where can they find your stuff online?
I'm on Blue Sky at dylanwolf.com, and links to all my other stuff can be found at links.dylanwolf.com.
Speaking of plugs, we also did, on the Awesome Cast side of things, we recently did an awesome table. Dylan has been a fool and has decided to bring back an old format name that has been 10 years old, I think, at this point, and has brought it back.
Yes, awesome table. So we get a bunch of people together and we talk about a topic. And I need to schedule the next one here in a bit, I think.
Yeah. We talked about world building in tabletop role-playing games. It was a really fun time. I'm looking forward to other topics that Dylan's going to get ready and record for us. I think Awesome Table is going to be a good, fun 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever pillar, in the Awesome Cast family of podcasts. It was a fun time, and y'all should check it out. But the one card I don't think I saw that should have been around, but maybe it was too hard to implement, because you should never, ever forget, you tank the Bone Dragon up north.
I know people have said there's no Lulu card, there's no Carbuncle card.
Well, you did point out that there is a Carbuncle in the Summoner's, like,
yeah,
grimoire.
well, there's a Lulu in the one of the cards for combat menu. I remember. Like, there's a Lulu in that, but she doesn't. I don't think she has her own. I was excited that Gaia had her weapon. That's why I got that one.
Yeah,